Listen, fellas. When I wanna do good by you, evil tries to block me from doing your will. Ooh, inside me, storms are raging. Feels like I want to give in. But then I remember the
my name is Sapp, and I am here with Jamsource magazine with Bishop L. Spenser Smith, and we are going to be talking today about some of your beginnings, your middles, and where you are today.
Okay, great.
I got an opportunity to listen to some of your music, and I have to tell you, I am quite impressed. I can appreciate the gospel music that you are today. But first, I do want to talk about some things that I've read.
Oh, okay.
As far as your, I read somewhere that at the age of 4 is when you started singing.
Yes.
Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct.
Did I read right?
You read correctly.
Okay. So I would have to wonder, what type of music did you listen to?
Well, you know, I've always been, I come from a musical family, from South Carolina originally. And, you know, if you could not sing or play an instrument in my family, you had to be adopted or something. Because I just kind of grew up with that kind of musical background. It was an interesting diversity in my house. My mom being saved and, you know, having gospel music. So I grew up with her on her side, with James Cleveland, the Winans, the Hawkins singers, Shirley Season. But my dad wasn't. So, you know, he was R&B old school. So I grew up on his side with EWF, Confunction, the Barcades, you know, all of these different kinds of people. And so I grew up in my house with this culture of different music. And so, you know, at 4 years old, and really, here is the story. The whole story is I was like a Mikey. I would eat anything growing up, right? Because I was my mama's chunky baby, like she would say. So I wanted a plum, right? One of my favorite fruit. She said, well, if you sing a song for me, you know, because she had little friends around. If you sing a song for me, I'll give you a plum. I was like, okay. And then I sang Lord Help Me to Hold Out by James Cleveland.
Wow.
Right? I sure did at 4 years old. And she said then she just kind of recognized, you know, a gift or, you know, an ability to not just sing gospel, but to sing, just, you know, have a musical ear. And so, you know, from there, from 4 years old to now, I fell in love with this thing called music. It's been my life. It's been my outlet.
Wow. You wanted that plum.
Listen, and I got it.
You got that plum. Good, good. I also read that you were a musical prodigy in that way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, I played a lot of instruments. My dad was a band director, my mom was a singer. So, you know, instruments were all around the house.
I guess my question is, was there pressure for perfection?
I think so. And, you know, not overwhelming perfection. Well, on the singing side, not overwhelming perfection. On the musical side, because my dad can't sing a lick. My mom blows, but she doesn't know how to play. But on the musical side, when we started playing, you know, clarinet, flutes, saxophones, because he would always bring the instruments home, he would make us stay up all night long practicing. And of course, you know, not in a punishing way, you know, or not in a dictatorial way. We fell in love with music. So actually, it wasn't a very difficult task for perfection. It groomed me so that when I got older, even in my early teens, I started directing the choir. I was 12 and I was directing the mass choir. How did you find this out? But anyway, you did your research. I'm like you. Right. At 12, I started directing Greg Minister of Music. Wow. Oh yes. And it was interesting because that year before, I didn't know how to play piano. And my grandfather. I was at my grandfather's house, and our church didn't have a musician. And so, you know, I'm old school Pentecostal, my granddad. So he just laid his hands on my hands and said, in the name of Jesus, I command you to play. And immediately, From that time on till now, I started playing. My first song was in the key of C, Be Steadfast and Movable, Florida Mass Choir. I've been playing ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
You definitely touched a few key points in my life. I was also raised Pentecostal, so I definitely understand where you come from. I do believe in laying on that.
Yeah, all that
stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I get it. I guess I would wonder, with you taking on the responsibility of being minister of music at 12, did you get the urge to rebel? Like, or did you have an opportunity to? I mean, you're like, here, you're gonna play music. You're not going to do nothing else.
No, well, here's the funny part. It's what I wanted to do. You know, they tried to get me to be normal, if you can say. You know, I found my niche in music. You know, my brothers, they're tall. They're kind of, you know, one did football, one did track and baseball, and I was the short little, you know, guy who, you know, if I really probably wanted to, I could, but I just never liked sports like that. I always knew, again, like I said, my music was my niche. And so once I found it at, you know, they just put me there at 12. And so I was dealing with all of these adults. And my mom often tells the story now that, you know, she and her friend were talking in choir rehearsal. And here I am, 12, and I stopped the music and I told them, would you two please shut up? I was 12. She got so mad at choir rehearsal, right? And this lady was my aunt, kind of my auntie, and they were like so upset. I was like, well, excuse me, in this room, I'm at 12 now. In this room, I'm leaving. When I get out here, I'll be your son. And that's kind of how we rolled. Right. That's at 12 years old. They accepted, they respected who I was and what God was doing with me at the time. So, you know, and of course, after I finished, I was her baby, I was her son, got my little spankings, got my little challenge. She was a little salty with that. And I was like, yeah, but guess what? Don't come back to my choir rehearsal talking while I'm teaching a song. And that's kind of how we rolled.
Oh my God. At 12.
At 12, yeah. Yeah.
Where does that part of you come from? Is that your dad? I mean,
you know
what I mean, to be so authoritative.
You know, when it comes to music, it's always been a perfectionist element to me. And you know what? I guess when my grandfather laid hands on me, it was something that the Lord just kind of put in me. You know, it's got to be right. It's got to be on it. And if you're going to participate with me in this realm, in this musical realm, then you're going to have to come up to par. You're going to have to be up here, or else we're not doing this together. You're not singing with me. You're not playing with me, or whatever that might be. So I've always had that perfectionist drive in music. My dad is perfectionist now. Musically, he is as well. But he tells me a lot of times, I take it to a whole another level. Yeah. And because again, for me, music is oxygen. You know, music is how I breathe. Music is my life. And so it's always been that. And so for me to half do that is to half do me. You know, it's for me to do something subpar musically is to change my identity. So, you know, all of the aggregations that I've worked with in the past understood that from the jump, that if you're going to work with him, you better get it together.
Come correct.
Listen, because, generally I'm a very nice person 95% of the time, but that 5% of the time that I'm musical, there you go.
Okay, stepping out of your adolescence.
Okay.
At 26.
Yes. Oh, wow.
At 26,
yeah.
You began your pastoral ministry.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know what? Go ahead and ask your questions.
I mean, you go from singing at 4 to minister of music to now I'm a pastor.
Yeah, well, you know, here it is. Okay, so 23, I did my first recording with Twinkie Clark, Donald Lawrence, Family Gospel Choir. So that's when I did that. And so I knew then, and I had, was director of Family Gospel Choir when I was in college, marched in the Marching 100 when I was in college. So kind of really discovered more of the musical element, the broad bass. College gives you that, multiplicity, all that kind of stuff, right? So at 23, I did my first recording, got my first placements working with Donald Lawrence and all that kind of stuff. So I knew then And actually, Donald and Twinkie just kind of recognized that, yo, you got something.
He has it.
He has it, right. And you know, I guess Karen did as well, because she's like, the song that I wrote, arranged with her, she's like, I'm not going to do it unless you sing it with me. And so I sang with Karen Clark, which was amazing.
I'm sure.
And then, you know, I got married at 23. And my wife's father, who was 41 at the time, the day that we started dating, November 2nd, 1990, was the day, which is today actually, was right? Which was the day that he founded the church. And he passed away at 41. And he had no sons, and he always treated me as a son. And you know, I was the only one that would do his pastor's anniversaries. I would go to Jacksonville, Florida, teaching and all that kind of stuff. And when he passed away, it was just such a shock. I did not want to pastor. I did not want to read music. I did not want to deal with people. And I did. Then it was a Baptist church, and I'm Pentecostal. So then
for those of you that don't know,
right? Good.
I can't explain it.
You just can't explain it. So all of these different things, but I knew, you know, my father was and my father is just an amazing man. He was at the funeral, and he said, "Well, you know, Moses is gone. Maybe you're Joshua." And I knew he was right, and I was mad because he said it. But I knew the Lord told me, and here's the promise he made me. He said to me, if you give this up.
Who said to you?
The Lord. Listen.
Okay.
Listen. He said, the Lord, if you give this up, I'll give it back to you. And I'm like, God, I'm just starting off with my music ministry. I'm just starting off. If you just give it up, I promise you I'll give it back to you. October 14, 2014 was 20 years that he gave it back to me with the recording. Let's stop. It took 20 years to get there.
But you got there.
But I got there. I was 23, now I'm 43.
Wow.
Right, and so now that 26-year-old pastor, been pastoring for 17 years, founded a church 10 years ago. So, you know.
Well, let's talk about this, because I could go on and on with you, and I don't want to hold you as long as I already have. I know you got to get some rest. Okay, let's talk about your new album.
Okay,
all right, let's go into your new album. And when we talked about doing the interview, I kept thinking Bishop L. Spenser Smith. I know this name, Bishop L. Spenser Smith. And the song that you have, My Testimony.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Correct. My life. Actually.
My life is my testimony.
Yeah, right.
I heard that on the radio or someplace. I know I'd heard it more than twice. And to know that it was coming out in your album Unstoppable, which is here.
There it is. Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Unstoppable, L. Spenser Smith.
Yes.
In which people need to get this.
Thank you.
It is amazing. This album is a testimony.
Thank you so much.
Itself.
Right.
What can you tell us about the album?
Wow.
Are there any features that we can expect?
Well, there are no features, but the whole cast is the feature.
Okay.
So the whole night is a feature. The way that I kind of did this album as an ode to all of the musical styles that I grew up with. So it's, although I know I'm called to sing gospel, I know it's my purpose, gospel is not the only thing that influences me. And so on the record, you're gonna hear my journey of old school R&B, you're gonna hear classical, you're gonna hear country, you're gonna hear all of those idioms, all of those ideas, all of that in the record. What I wanted to do with Unstoppable is to bring the live experience back to gospel. To me, today's gospel
Which is the best experience.
Right. Today's gospel is so overproduced. When I learned gospel music, which was years ago, it was all about the moment. Now it's more about the music, right? And I get it for other genres. You know what I'm saying? The music. But for gospel, you got to drop the people into a moment, right? And so that moment might not be where you did your best riff. It might not be where the organ hit right. It might not be where everything was just precise and perfect with regards to musical. But the moment was so oily. It was so anointed that, and I think we need that back again in gospel music. That's what separates us from, I think, R&B, country, jazz. Even jazz has that. You know, that
A feel.
That feel
You
to
know?
it, right? And I think we've overproduced the feel out of gospel music. And so it was essential for me to make an album that wasn't laden with a bunch of other big stars on it, you know, to make the album work. I wanted the music, the message, and the motion to make the album work. And of course, I can sing a little bit, right? So
you can sing.
I can do that a little bit,
I heard
right?
it.
So my thing is, if it's gonna say L. Spenser Smith, for me, L. Spenser Smith needs to be the soloist. He needs to be the artist. Again, that's another thing.
So we are learning L. Spenser Smith
right,
in this album.
on that album. So you're gonna hear me sound, you know, a little operatic. You're gonna hear me sound like D'Angelo and Prince, who like really on a cut. You're gonna hear, you know, the EWF horns, the function feel. You're gonna hear all of that journey, and from beginning to end. And you know, get it. It's hot.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Check them out in stores.
Yes, and on iTunes.
Tell us where we can get you.
You can get it from on any digital media, iTunes, Amazon, wherever digital media is sold. You can get it there. You can drop it down now. Or you can go to Walmart, Best Buy, Target. You can go everywhere and get it. And it debuted at number 4 on Billboards. Come on.
Come on, somebody.
It debuted at number 4 on Billboards, and that was such a major thing as an independent artist. As I own my own record label, I'm manufactured and distributed through E1 Entertainment, so I have a good foundation in terms of getting me where I need to go. But they had, they really encouraged me. Hey, you've got enough catalog, you've got enough history in the industry. Do your own label, and we'll make sure it gets everywhere. And we did it. And honestly, I didn't expect it to do. It did way more than I thought it would do. I knew it was a good record. I knew that.
It's an amazing record.
Oh, I thank you. I appreciate that. And for it to be number 4 on Billboards, that was more than I ever asked God to do for me. So.
Well, kudos to you. Check out L. Spenser Smith, Unstoppable. I'm Amanda Sapp with Jamsource, Runway Entertainment Magazine, and we have Bishop L. Spenser Smith. Check out Unstoppable.
God bless.
Listen, fellas. When I wanna do good by you, evil tries to block me from doing